We have someone incredible about to come up here on stage in just a moment. We have Justin Kavanaugh, CEO of Sites at Scale, who helps build brands online, and is a 5-time Olympic coach. So, if he brought many athletes to the Olympics, what can he do with your brand? Give it up for Justin Kavanaugh.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. If the fire marshal does try to kick you out, let me know. My dad was a firefighter for 30 years. We just pay them off. They're easy. As he said, I am an Olympic coach by trade. I'm also the CEO of a company that has over 100 employees that services over 1,500 brands online. I'm not a marketer, and I want to make that very clear to you because some of you guys here are agents, you're marketers, and you guys help small business. At the core of what I do is I was a small business owner, and I had to learn all the hard stuff that you guys do to get to the point where I could grow my brand because I was really good at my craft, right? Been to 5 Olympics, won many gold medals, but no one knows about that if we don't tell our stories. So what I'm going to show you today is story. I'm going to show you how you create your content to get what you're doing, the good work that you're doing on stage. So every business has one of these 3 problems, right? They either have an attention problem, which means that they have low traffic. They have an attraction problem. They can't get a prom date, right? Which means they have low conversions. Or they have an accessibility problem. That accessibility is a low experience. The value exchange of working with you is too hard. It's not enjoyable, which means it's not a fun and it's not an accessible experience for the end user. My promise to you today, by the end of this, is that we're gonna identify these issues and then we're gonna try to solve them. So I want you to learn a little bit about me by watching this. So the cool thing about coaching is you get to work with some really cool people. And all of you guys as agents or small business owners, most of the information that you need to grow are in your client base. But you never ever go out to them and find out how they can help you with their business. Most people, if they can afford you, right? If they can afford you, they probably learned a little bit and they know a little bit. So if you ask them questions, it's amazing on what could happen. So what I've learned in my 20 years of coaching Olympic athletes is that my athletes are my answer, or the people that are paying for them have helped me grow in business. So for me, I've stood on the shoulders of giants, both in my athletic career, my coaching career, but now in business. So one of my best friends is a guy named Will Granis. Will had the opportunity to let me train his daughters, Kate and Hannah. Hannah's now at NYU, and Kate's gonna go play soccer at Virginia Tech. And I remember over 10 years ago, I was in Will's office because he was a super smart guy, and I had opened up my laptop to try to get on my WordPress website, and I'm literally panicking. And I'm panicking because I can't log in, I don't know what's going on, and I don't want to waste this time. But my embarrassment wasn't the fact that I couldn't manage the tech. It was the fact that I look up to Will just as much as Will looked up to me and entrusted with me in the work that I was doing with his kid. But I was not as good as what he does in his job, because Will happens to be the CTO at Google. So the guy who runs the Google Cloud probably knows a little bit more about technology than I do as a dumb jock coach. But what I've learned from him over the years is data drives decisions. See, as end users, we're very emotional. Coaching, right, we're very emotional. We grab an athlete, we're getting their head a little bit. We have to be emotional. We don't want to be very logical. Emotion is actually a compounding effect. Logic sometimes is super linear. So if we could get into the emotion of the athlete, we could actually make a massive impact. but data has to be the backbone of your business. So the content that we put out, as you saw, is very emotional. And the stuff I'm gonna continue to show you is very emotional, but the data has to back it up. And this is what we've learned while we work with all these businesses. So that was such a success, I started to learn from other people. And I got an email one day from a friend of mine that says, hey, you two need to connect. Anyone get a networking email that says you need to connect with so-and-so? Well, this happened to be somebody that I trusted, and he goes, you guys are gonna love or hate each other with your personalities. And if you haven't noticed by now, I voiced my opinion. So I get this email, the guy responds back and says, hey, I'll do a meeting with you, it'll be about 15 minutes, we could just jump online on GoToMeeting at the time. Tells you how long ago this was. I say, hey, I'm an in-person guy, I'd rather go to your office. I take the train from DC up to New York to his office. That 15-minute turned into 2.5 hours. I didn't know anything about marketing, but the guy's office that I was in was Gary Vee. So again, who got lucky? Sometimes you guys are trying to build your business and you don't realize like luck's a big deal. So for me, I got lucky. I worked for Nike for 5 years early in my career as a coach. Nike's not a sports training company, it's a marketing company. They want to sell shit. So I would get frustrated with the team constantly because we would want to push these initiatives through, but they're like, does it sell more shoes? And you're like, yeah, but we're making our athletes better. Like, is that athlete gonna help sell more shoes? And you just don't understand this stuff until you understand what their end goal is. And for Gary, it was all about attention. And for me, when I coach, there's 3 rules in coaching. You have to have perspective. I built my Olympic coaching career and training the most elite athletes in the world by having a coach's eye. So I have great perspective. I could see things very, very fast and know exactly what's going on. And that ability to identify things as a coaching eye, that's my perspective. Then I need attention. If I'm talking to you, you need to be able to give me your eye contact, we need to be able to listen, we're paying attention. If I don't have his attention, then that athlete is flicking me off and said, I'm gonna go somewhere else. And then I need to be able to give clear direction. This is what coaching's about. But in marketing, you gotta have attention first. So your perspective, like a coach, is just about being up to date on trends. What's going on, how are you paying attention to how you can kind of help people with their growth. Then, going even further back, this is Ryan McGinn. Anybody know who Ryan is? Right, you're laughing a little bit. Ryan happens to be one of my best friends.
We were just at his event a couple days ago.
That's amazing. So this knucklehead, not only is one of my best friends, but I got a lot of real stories for you. And if you're in Vegas, Ryan is my cool friend. See, Coach ain't that cool. But in order to be cool, you just hang around with other cool people and don't get in trouble. That's my rule. However, Ryan is so good at having like a keen eye on like what's up to date. What is the trend? Except Ryan, being the cool guy, gets bored with shit when they get popular. So he jumps on something, he's the first to do it, and then he moves on to the next thing. And then he jumps on it and he moves to the next thing. Have we ever done that in our business? So this is what Ryan does constantly. Pioneers don't get paid, people. People that are good at what they do and stick with the fundamentals get paid. So he created a thing called vertical influences. Once we realized that we were going to our cell phones, all videos need to be like vertically, he just flipped that camera this way. Then he realized, oh, I could work with people that are already successful and just make them popular. So he started working with this guy. That guy's pretty popular now. And all he had to do is take an old person that was really good at what he did, that was loud and obnoxious, but he's very smart, and he'd make him popular. That's what Ryan did. And he would ask him cool questions. So someone spent a lot of money to get consulting from Grant Cardone, and that person said, well, how did you kind of blow up your brand? And he said, hey, you just got to talk to my friend Ryan. Have you ever got a referral? That's how you want referrals. You do a good job with the client, and they say, hey, talk to this guy. So that person, said, hey, I guess I need to reach out to Ryan. Ryan started talking to him and said, hey, look, you're gonna be successful with or without me. The question is are you gonna be popular? There's a big difference between being a celebrity, right, and making money. There's a lot more wealthy people in this world than there are celebrities, okay? So we have to understand that. That guy happened to be Alex Ramosi. And Ryan was the guy who created short form content. He created viral edits. He kind of built this kind of cool brand. So investing in kind of what's cool to gain attention, but then sticking to it is kind of the game plan. Fast forward to where I am today, I'm the CEO of Sites at Scale. And this is a company that a friend of mine founded in Australia. And he's built it from a design standpoint all the way to serve the end consumer, to the point where he helped me build my brand. He helped me take my website and put it online. And I was so impressed by it, I was like, hey, this is something that I want to do because I could do it at the marketing level. They were just doing it at the website level. And this company's been around 10 years in business, right? Over 1,500 websites, 1 billion leads. So we have a lot of data points through that, right? 500 current web tasks managed a day by our team of over 100 people with a 98% happiness rating. That's a really big deal when you think about it. So how do you do that and then now drive all of this traffic to the site and then the site doesn't do anything? That's the attraction part. You have the attention part, and then you have the attraction part. So we're gonna go through all of that today. So when you look at kind of what your business needs, we talked about it, right? Attention first, then attraction, then it needs accessibility, right? Because you gotta convert. Number one rule is brand is everything. Wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, your brand matters. The easiest way I could explain this is by looking at these two companies, one of the largest hotel companies in the world to the largest clothing company in the world. Nike's not the largest sport company. It outgrossed Louis Vuitton as being on the 4 spot, and Nike's number 1 with clothing. Think about that when it comes to revenue. And if you had to think about this, if Nike built a hotel, could every one of you identify what it would look like? Talk about it, think about it. Could you feel what it would be like? You get to understand, you walking in there, it's gonna have a nice look to it, it's gonna have a sports feel to it, it's gonna be up to date, innovative technology. That's all gonna be part of Nike's hotel. But if Marriott built a shoe, could any of you describe it? That's the power of brand. So in order to create your brand, you gotta figure out what your signature is. As a coach that sees athletes all day long, that's well known for having a coach's eye, we call this your athlete's signature. So as a business owner, for you guys or for your end consumer, think about what their signature is. So in order to create your athlete's signature, your business signature, you have to create a signature talk. Simon Sinek has done this the best, which is start with why. Simon's ability to pull out at the nucleus of what you do, the core of what you do, to be the driving force behind every single step in your process and in your business's process, right, is who you are. And that becomes kind of the elevator pitch, not from you to someone else, but from your clients to a prospect. See, guys, the elevator pitch doesn't matter unless your clients are sharing that story. And you own a billboard of a client that is successful and the billboard of a client that unfortunately isn't as successful. You're responsible for both of them. So you have to create your signature talk. The second thing you need to do is create a signature style. What is your personality? So this is a friend of mine, Rudy Maurer. Some of you guys may know him. He works with some of the biggest brands out there. He kind of wants to own the color red. I don't know if you know this, but there's this guy like Richard Branson, not that big, but he kind of owned that for a while. But guess what? Now Richard and Rudy are friends. Now all of a sudden it's like maybe this guy could pass the baton to a next generation of entrepreneur that wants to grow businesses. So what is your signature style? I got a kick game, I like a lot of things. That creates my personality. I'm sure if you guys went to Ryan's event, you know a little bit about telling your story to get people involved and get people to buy in to what you like. Because people are gonna connect to something that you're interested in. And then last is your super signature. This was created by Dean Jackson. This is by far one of the best email tricks that's out there. It's been around forever. He's also the guy who created the 9-word email, but Dean's a friend of mine, and I remember I was at an event in Miami, and he literally just increased our conversions of our emails by just fixing this, which is your super signature. And if you've ever read an email, at the bottom of it, it says, P.S., here's some ways that you could work with me, 1, 2, and 3. Does everyone's emails right now have that go out? If it doesn't, you need to do that immediately. Because people need to know where to buy. People need to know where to go. And if you could create your super signature, you could build this into every pieces of your content through the copy. Because there's gotta be a call to action, and the call to action has to drive them to what they are interested in. So here's 3 different ways at which you can work with me. And then you just have different levels in your business. The last thing that I don't talk about when it comes to building your signature is a signature sound. And this is as you kind of mature. So there's levels to this game when it comes to branding. Signature sounds are kind of that ding that you hear that reminds you of something when you were younger. It's that nostalgic feeling when you could kind of hear that McDonald's commercial or a cartoon or a da-da-da, that's all folks, right? Or the ice cream man for me because I was a fat kid growing up. So if I hear that do-do-do-do-do-do, like my ass is moving, you know? I'm looking for like $1.50 and I'm trying to go get me an ice cream bar. So sound is very similar to smell where it kind of brings back memory really, really quickly. So what is your business's signature sound? These are really key things to think about as you kind of build your brand. Then you still got to think about what is your 3-ring prospect. So we kind of look at this as like, who is our perfect avatar in business? So for us, we have to organize it by 3 rings. So the first one is geographics. So most of your clients are going to be centrally located in particular areas of the world. It may be hotbeds, right? So I work in another area of our business. We work with like high-end executive clients. They're in, Miami, Atlanta, New York, London, right? They're in Singapore, they're in LA, they're in Chicago. Now they're in Austin. So they're very like centrally organized around certain spots of the globe. Your business needs to be categorized that way as a geographical restriction. The second ring is demographic. How much money do they make? What do they do? What are they working on? Are they males? Are they females? Are they married or are they not? And then the last one, the bullseye, is the psychographic. Where's their headspace? Are they ready to buy? What are their interests? What makes them make a buying decision? So when you break down kind of a geographical restriction, we're here in Nevada right now, we're in Las Vegas. If I wanted to break down, I wanted to go after all these Raiders fans and my product served all these Raiders fans, why wouldn't I not just drop an ad geographically fenced over that stadium every single time that they had an event or a game? I could hit 100,000 people in that stadium and outside of that stadium like that, and it probably cost me $200. Lance, who's the head of media buy for our enterprise clients, has built this thing called hotel hijacking, which when we go to an event like this, we smack an ad right on top of the event that we're at, promoting the event. And what also happens is we go to an event that we're not sponsoring, or we go to an event that we're not speaking, because we can't attend all of them at the same time, trade shows or different events. We could take our ad and drop it at 2-3 different places around the country and siphon off that audience by running an ad over that hotel. And we already know that they have the perfect target audience because that convention's there. We're the largest supporter for dance sites in the United States. So every dance competition and dance event this year for 2024 is going to be an ad that's built directly to dance studio owners right on top of those hotels that say, hey, if you're ready to build your brand online and you want to create a great website that attracts and converts and delivers a great product for your clients and customers, come see us. And we could be in 5 different places around the world without having to leave our desk. And it may cost you $100, $200. So that's a geographical fence that creates that first ring. Demographic. Breaking down kind of very specifically who your target audience is. Are they married? How much income do they make? Where do they work? You could siphon all of this stuff out. Psychographic, right? What are their opinions? What are their interests? You really just want to understand, are they going to be a good customer or not? How many of you guys have sold somebody and they became a pain in the ass client? Wouldn't you like to filter those people before they messed up your system? They're not worth the money. There's an opportunity cost of working with them when you could work with 5 other people that are better clients. And I would much prefer take the person that's paid less, that costs me less in the business. Sometimes it's just like, hey, we gotta cut ties and it's sunk cost. But we're too afraid to do that because we're cutting out $2,000 to $10,000 because it's a bad client. And I go, you know what? That might be $200,000 if we do it right. So when we break this down, you want to start taking this content and where we're going at a perfect prospect level, and then we got to create our content team. So how many of you guys here have teams that build content for you? Raise your hand. Good, I'm just trying to understand where you guys are. How many of you guys are solo? All right, so this is gonna be a little bit harder. You might only have one person that have to break up the rules, right? But as you mature, you're gonna be able to have individual people that are gonna be able to handle each one of these divisions of your content domination team. So when you break it up, it's gonna be 3 divisions. You're gonna have a creation team, a content distribution team, and a content acquisition team. I learned this here at Digital Marketer over a decade ago. I was never able to do it, and then I built out my team, and I go, oh my God, now it works perfect. So it is gonna be a lot harder if you're by yourself, but as you start to grow, you're gonna be able to easily put people in the right roles so they can become masters at this, right? So when you look at your creation team, you're gonna break those up into 2 different areas. You're gonna cut them right in half. You're gonna have the genius. So for a small business owner, it's like, what is their expertise? I coach the Olympic athletes. I'm most well known for working with athletes that are sprinters. I've been to 5 Olympics. Every Olympics I've medaled in the 100-meter dash. So I'm known for getting guys fast. We're going into Paris this year, which is year 6. All my content is around expertise around speed training. That's what builds my brand. But if my competency is super, super high, but my creation of the content itself is a photographer, a videographer, a speaker, how good am I at entertaining people in my subject? And sometimes that's gonna be a compounding equation between the genius that I have in my individual business to the skill of the videographer, the content creator, the podcast host, all of those things. This is where Ryan really shines because he's an interesting guy, so he can create fun content. So you gotta just decide, right? Is the person that you're gonna blow up really, really good at what they do? And then how do you make that content cool that resonates with the end user? So that's the creation team, and it's all based around talent. The next team is distribution. We're gonna break these 2 buckets up into organic, which is basically the hustle culture. I'm gonna just DM you. You know, we have an app right now for this event. Are you guys looking through the networking opportunities and pinging out people? How many of you guys sent a message on that app today? Missed opportunity, you already know exactly who the target audience is. You could look at exactly who they are. You could ping them. Now take it a step further, all right, and regarding like what level are you? Are you a 1 or are you a 10? Did you go online and you scrape their information? Go online, go on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, see what they do, see how you can help them, shoot them a message in 4 different platforms because nowadays all the stuff is going to different, spam folders. So it's like, what level are you at? You may be a 4 today, but as practice goes on, again, you're gonna move up that ladder a little bit. The next area is gonna be building your audience through paid. I'll be honest with you. My first media buyer, I got lucky. Remember I talked about like getting lucky with people? My first media buyer had 3 clients. She had Aubrey Marcus, who ran on it. She had Joe Rogan, and she had me. I'm not Joe Rogan. I wish I was, just for the bank account. But you find really good talented people, and then you get lucky. At the paid ad side, today, I think I have one of the best direct response marketers in the world and one of the best paid ad guys in Lance. But that's a secret weapon in your business. Most people don't do paid well. So you gotta learn it, unfortunately, not by spending money, but you have to learn it by doing it, over and over and over again. So I wouldn't start there. I always like to start organically, because if you have somebody that's an amazing ad buyer, how many of you guys are really good ad buyers? Like you're really good at ad buying? Raise your hand. Be proud of that, because look, if you're not proud of that, there's somebody in the room that's like, I need one of those, and they're gonna go walk over to you. And the truth is not everyone can spend, $250,000 for Lance every year. But that's just the difference between where you are. So you be proud of what you do. This is how you build your relationship. So if you're really good at ad buying, once you sell a lot and you run a lot of ads, the minute you stop ads, you tank. But if you're really good at organic content and you distribute it really, really well, the minute you stop organic content, your brand stays on for a little bit and you can pick it back up. It just takes a little bit to get the engine going. But on the ad side, the minute you shut it off, it drops. So the key is rising tide lifts all ships. So what you do is you want to have organic first, figure out what's working, and then run paid. Because you always want them to fall back on the branding side. The last side of it is your acquisitions team. Your acquisitions team is all about offers. And that is going to be broken up into 2 different buckets of offers. You're going to break it down the quality of the offer. If you haven't read this book by Alex Hormozi, it's the best offer book that's out there today. It will tell you what's current going on in the trends and how you kind of create a great value stack. So if you have a great offer, which again, I think a lot of business owners don't have a really good offer. And if you're working directly with business owners, you got to train them to create a better offer, because your ads won't work. If you don't train them to create a better offer, when you do all this marketing for them, they're gonna lose conversions because the offer's not that good. And then you have Macy's, which is there's an ad every day. There's a sale every day, which is quantity. And it's just how much volume can you put out there to the world regarding different offers. There's a sale all the time. You probably get tired of that, but at the end of the day, there's a reason why they're doing it. It's working. Something about what they're doing is working. So you have to figure all of this out, and you've got to create the 3 sections of your content team, or at least understand that one person's doing it, and then this is the actual pipeline that you do it. So if you literally want to just use that as a workflow, snapshot that, and then say, hey, here's the channel we're picking, and we're going to run down this line. The next is kind of the advance of the second screen. Too often we find business owners, because they're stuck in their ways, they're not going to do things that are mobile friendly. One of the reasons why our websites convert really well is because all of them have to be mobile responsive. And even though we have a lot of like mining companies that we work with and like big businesses that do like $500 million in like revenue a year, and they just need a web presence, what happens is when they're on the road, someone wants to look it up on their phone and then it will remind them later. So get away from this idea that everything has to be on a desktop. We've got to go mobile. That ship has sailed. So if you look at kind of the growth, it's been massive. And if you look at kind of what they are looking for and what they are doing on their second screen is what you need to be producing. So we already know that they're checking emails, they're playing games, and they're messaging people. So if there's a way that we could interrupt that flow on their mobile, that's the best way to communicate to them. And then the other thing is, what type of content are they actually absorbing on their phones? So they're absorbing short form content, which is highlights. For sports people, think ESPN Top 10. Anyone that's in the sports world, just think ESPN Top 10. That's the best way to think about short form content. If you are dealing with an older population, think Hollywood Story. How do we just tell you like what's up to date and what's going on? In an drama-filled world, that's what's gonna gain the attention. The second thing is gonna be like the teams or the players. If they have content that's about somebody that they are a fan of, they're gonna watch that. And then the last one is gonna be documentaries or content about the work being done. Most of the time, people don't have the ability to build a true content documentary team. But if you do that, that has been proven to be the best because it goes into long form YouTube and then it grows over time. And then from there, you can split that up. But it does take a bit of an investment, both from a talent standpoint and a time standpoint. Trends between apps. We know that everybody's on Facebook. And now we're moving into TikTok. We don't know what's next. If you're in a gaming, a streaming world, you want to be on Twitch, you want to be on YouTube Live, you want to be on some of these platforms to just stream. However, guys, that doesn't mean Facebook's dead. Facebook's converting right now for us better than almost any platform that's out there today. Because it's the most mature. But everybody's like, we want to do the new thing. Well, you haven't even done the old thing really well. So do the old thing and just do it for the longest, and then when it runs out, do the next thing. That's the way I'd like to think about it. The next thing I want you to think about is the fan identity. We talked about how content gets distributed and how it is the most viewed on their phones, one of them being kind of the fan identity. So people nowadays are attached to individuals, not the teams. So if you think about this in the sport of boxing, boxing athletes and fighters have a team. They work inside of a camp. They work inside of a gym. But you don't know about those gyms. All you know about is the boxer, because the identity is attached to them directly. So you either are a Pacquiao fan or you're a Mayweather fan. Or if you're a businessman, you're a McGregor fan. And if you want to really build your brand, I'll tell you 2 things that happened to me, one that blew up my brand and one that destroyed it. You ready for some vulnerability? The one that destroyed my brand, which I'll tell you first, if you remember Chief Justice Kavanaugh got, in the office, and he's now, a Chief Justice, so he's now in there. Well, everyone thought I was related, so if you were on one side of the fence or the other, you loved me over here, and you hated me over here. I'm not related at all, but we have the same last name. Guess what happened? 25,000 followers and a bunch of hate mail. Dead serious. I had the FBI in my business office the next day. Like, hey, there's death threats, we have to talk to you. This is serious. I'm like, oh, you gotta be, it's a joke. I'm getting, all my friends are sending me these memes with my face, in a little penguin outfit. I thought it was funny. They're like, no, it's real. And you saw it affected in the social channels of how big it affected my brand. But about 2 months ago, Conor McGregor is on ESPN, and he drops in the Twitter X, Coach Kavanaugh, thank you, and ESPN reposts that, except he tagged me by accident. So guess who got about 20,000 followers the next day? So sometimes you gotta take the wins and the losses, right? I don't care, by the way, if you ever wanna get into like spats with people, I only argue or fight with people online if they think I'm him. So I'm like, if I'm gonna start a fight, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. They're like, hey, what's your problem? You should have done this. I'm like, man, what did you say to me? I'll come over there and beat the living, and they're like, and he's like, he'll send me a back end message like, Cav, you really have to do that? I'm like, hey man, your fight now. I'm gonna swipe all those content creators. I'm gonna swipe anything I can to build my brand. So you have to think about like, what's the fan identity of your audience, right? Who do they like? Do they like, they like soccer, but are they a players guy or are they a team guy, right? Are they like diehard Liverpool fans? Do they like Messi or do they like Ronaldo? Basketball, are they a Kobe fan, right? Or are you a LeBron fan? Or do you really like the GOAT, right? You like MJ. But we don't know if we're LeBron fans because we don't know where he's gonna be every day. So we can't really attach ourselves to a team. He may be in Miami, he may be in Cleveland, he may go back to somewhere else, he's in LA. He's just trying to jump around so he could win. But at the end of the day, people are LeBron fans. They wanna be fans of you. So if you're a business owner, or if you're an agency and you can't get your business owners to actually step in front of it, there's other ways in which we could do it, but you gotta understand that it's gonna be a lot harder to do. So I'm gonna show you some ways in which we've been able to do this with other businesses so you can see examples. A lot of times people can't share content because we work with such big businesses, or there's NDAs with all small businesses, but we produce so much content for our own businesses. I wanna give you examples of things that we've done with our team as well as helping other small businesses. So for instance, Champion Boxing has been around for 12 years. Hard Space is a fitness gym for people. And what they did is they helped people lose weight through the sport of boxing, but they also had a professional boxing team and a Golden Glove champion environment. So we wanted to kind of build some kind of excitement around it. So how do we do that? We do that by creating a little bit of a show. So here's what we got. What we're doing is we're building content that is entertaining. Now, if you're interested in boxing, would you watch that show? Of course, right? If you had a kid that was interested, would you not like say, hey, you know what? I trust this person because they're showing to the world what's going on. As a mom, do I really want to put my kid in this environment, but my son really wants to do it? Do I allow them in that environment? Oh, this is how they talk to them. They're gonna focus on accountability. They're gonna focus about being honest. They're gonna focus on discipline. Oh shoot, that might be a good opportunity to do it. But when you start an account up that's 12 years in business and has never had a social channel once, when you do it from scratch, we have to start siphoning off other people's audiences and we gotta get people to buy in on it. So what we did is we broke down content into things that were motivational, and then we broke down things that were inspirational through like an identity of thinking that's already popular. So for instance, Floyd Mayweather is already very popular. So if we put a shareable quote of Mayweather and we hit a picture of him and we kind of remove our branding out of it, we're gonna get a lot of shares from other people that are boxing fans. And then it's gonna gain traction in the boxing community because it's a nice shareable post. Or boxing's really kind of iconic in movies. So if you could take a really good movie quote, extract that out, and then deploy that to where people say, oh, I like that. And then you could ask them, hey, what's your favorite boxing movie? Or what's your favorite movie quote? And now all of a sudden you get conversations around it. Shareables are going to be the easiest way to grow your audience if you're starting from scratch. So, and then you just have to break that up into different platforms. So if it's pictures, it's images, it's reels, and then you go long form and you build a show around it and you get on YouTube. And that social synergy, right, the ability to go on one platform, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and then go on YouTube, when a company sees your business, they're starting to build more trust with you. Because if you're everywhere, we're trying to create omnipresence. And the way to do that is just figure out where your client lives first, build that out as the main channel, and then just replicate it other places. When you get more mature and you build out a more robust system, then you can start curating your content specifically for each channel, which means the way that you communicate on Twitter is different than the way that you would communicate or write on Facebook versus the way that you would write in LinkedIn. right? If you saw my Snapchat and you said, and Coach Cav was speaking the way he speaks on Snapchat in LinkedIn, I wouldn't have a job, right? And if you know what I'm talking about, you follow? There's locker room talk, there's conversations, and then there's like, hey, I probably don't want the CEO of this other company seeing me kind of shoot the shit and joke around with people. So that's how you kind of build your brand from scratch if you don't have anything. And then you have to drive them to a website that's going to convert. What's the point of driving traffic to somewhere that doesn't convert? So if you think about kind of your business, your website's the hub. It's a 24-hour employee that always answers the call and always says the right things, as long as you give it the right answer. And then on the spokes that go on the outside of that wheel are all your content pieces. And then each one drives down into your website. And anyone that drives down, if it doesn't convert, it's a wasted effort of a piece of content. And you spend a lot of time, effort to make these creatives, you want to make sure that it's going to convert. So we don't want to leak anything through that process. So this overall, within a 9-month period, increased over 500% growth in their audience. We made the biggest impact in Google, because what we did is we managed the social shares and said, hey, thanks so much for your support. Do you mind leaving us, and then in a DM, do you mind leaving us a review on Google? And then we shot them a link to the Google review, and it bounced them from Instagram right to Google to leave that review. Made it easy for them. So a lot of times we make it hard for our customers, make it easy for them by taking your content and giving it to them directly, and then letting them go build it somewhere else. But the biggest thing is this business has been around for 12 years. We didn't send one email during this 9 months other than letting them know about like open and closed hours of the gym. Not one email, which I would argue is one of the best campaigns that you could do in business. And it increased their revenue by 37%. Now, if you could do that to a business that's been around for over a decade, you got some serious firepower as an agency and as a business owner of what you could do moving forward. The next one I want to talk to you about is a software company that we did a live event for. So this is Coach Catalyst. It's a software for gym owners. And we were kind of coined to actually launch this live event. So an event just like this. And the goal of the live event was to promote that software to them eventually based upon them experiencing it. But the founders are great guys, but they're not really social people. They're building a tech company, they're running their businesses, they're not out there. So we had to kind of build a character around them, and we have to get them excited. We have to create content that interrupts them. So this is the first post. So what's cool is if you think about it, we did not have one piece of content to create this. This all came from our team doing due diligence with our speakers and where their presence were online, extracting their content and then creating ours on top of it. Because we didn't have a brand at that point. We're starting from scratch. And sometimes you're left, guys, the outputs are only good as the inputs. And how many times you work with a client, but they ain't giving you anything? Happens a lot. So you have to go and get it. The best way to do it is be proactive. Go get it and then say, hey, we've spun this up. What do you want to do next? Hey, this would be great if you jumped in here and did this. But a lot of clients are hard to do that. So what you're trying to do is show them what your future could look like if they just put in a little bit of effort. Give us some good stuff and then we could do more with it. But we knew that the founders were not going to do it every single day. They weren't going to show up. So what we did is we took Habby, our little character, our little motivational cat, and we turned him into Super Habby for the Super Coach Summit. And then we created kind of characters around Habby. So we created Hulk Habby and Astronaut Habby and Yoda Habby. There's a picture of Habby on the couch eating pizza, which is a Coach Cav Habby. We actually took a couple, our staff put one, because we're in the fitness industry, and they put a little beard on it, and they put a little nose strip and made it a Hermosi Habby. He didn't think it was funny. It's all right. But we're going to try to do anything we can, because what is the #1 page that goes viral the fastest on social media? Did anyone know? Memes. How many of you guys got some dark stuff in your DMs just because your friends send you memes? Right? I completely wreck all my friends' algorithms by just sending them stuff. They're like, don't send me that, I'm at work. I'm like, I don't care. And then they're like, don't send me that, I'm at home. I don't care. This is how I entertain myself, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a meme structure. So we're doing something that's shareables. We're getting excited about it. So this is how we kind of build it. Then when you're at the live event, you're gonna attach that community of the character to the live event. So we're bringing Happy in there and we're having conversations about it. And when you do this for a live event, sponsors are really excited to work with you because you're showing and distributing really good content. And this is how you get repeat buyers in your business and you get better sponsors through the process. All of our content's engaging.
I'ma keep winning. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself.
So if you look at that, you gotta ask yourself, if you were a speaker at that event, would you not share that post? Of course you would. It makes you look really good. So what you want to start thinking about is what are the contents that you're creating that someone else is going to be like, damn, that shit's better than my content that I create for myself. You can't create content that is not as good as that person's brand and expect them to diminish their brand to promote your event. So what you do is you hype people up. And if you notice, it's a volume play. Everything about content, guys, when it comes to organic, is volume. Everything when it comes to ads, that's a different conversation. So I want you to start to see how this is from an attention standpoint. It's about being everywhere. This is the highlight film from this event. I'm gonna show you next. I want you to pay attention to, in the event video, how many people's faces did we spot out in the audience? So I'm speaking right now. How many times did we zoom in on an individual? Because what I'm thinking about is if you're in that audience, are you going to share that video? So I tell my video guy, hey, we're gonna hit all the presenters, but what we really need is mass distribution. So we're gonna go around and videotape every single person's face that's in here, and then if you're part of that, you immediately get included as being like, hey, you're cutting edge in this field now, you're a part of this amazing event, and everyone else has FOMO, but you're part of the cool kids group. That's what you're trying to do. So the way that you get part of the cool kids group is you let them post out for you. So this was the highlight film, and I want you to see all of the faces in there, and then how we kind of create distribution.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Super Coach Summit.
Think about that, how many faces did you see? We shot everybody in the crowd and that became distribution. We want to create distribution networks for us so we don't have to work so hard. This resulted, in 62% of ticket sales directly from social. Emails came about 26% and then cold calls. But the key is, at that live event, because we did such a good job, we sold 50% of our tickets. We grew and we doubled the income just from that event, from what we were offering. So there's ways in which you could do that, and you could use a live event to create content. Because if you don't feel like you have content that you could create, you gotta use an environment to create that content. How many of you guys are worried about putting your personal brand out there versus a business brand? Just raise your hand if you're like, always wondered the difference between personal versus professional. Cool. I'm gonna go over that real quick and then I'm gonna walk you through like what we do next. So the personal versus professional side is you have the science of what you do, and then you have the creative side. And then what you do is you build out the art and the science, they combine together. That's Salvador Dali, right? That's where it kind of mixes those together. So the best person that's done this is a friend of mine named Ari Meisel. So if you know Ari, what's really cool is his dad's a famous art dealer. And one day in this office, the guy was coming to him and saying, hey, you know, I like that picture. And he goes, hey, I like that picture. And he goes, hey, that's my son. They bought his rights to that picture when he was a kid, and he's now on the largest album cover in the world for rock. When you look at how does his brand, it lays out from an entire website layout all about what he does. When you look at his personal brand, it's combining his story together. That's the key. You always want to combine the story together. When you look at kind of the work that we do, right? Your website, your first thing on the conversion part, it has to have a captivating headline, right? And it has to have an easy call to action. Your homepage has to handle something that's motivational. So we want to break down these 5 P's. So it has to handle problem, product, promise, proof, and then process. If your front page to your website doesn't do this, you're going to be leaking out. So take this and then audit everybody's websites. You'll see kind of the process that we go through for each one, and then we're gonna look at key areas. What is the captivating message? It's a secret weapon to grow your business faster and easier than ever before. How do you build your offshore team, right? Whatever that looks like. When you look at Dale as a business coach, let's build your dream business. Also, Dale's all about family, so there's a picture with him and his wife, right? Elite athletes, this is my company, Elite Athlete HQ. It shows right away credibility, problem solved, immediately what that looks like. Taki Moore is another business coach, right? He's a great copywriter, so we just asked him to put his copy up there. Did you look at our process, right? It's attention-grabbing websites that attract the perfect customer. And then what we do is we want to lay down exactly what the process is to work with you. So we do a discovery call, we do a design call, and then we do a delivery. This is, you know, what we do within our brands, and that's how we work with you. What I would recommend, if you have any questions about this, is making sure that your website is where it needs to be. All I want you to do is go ahead and just hit that QR code. There's 64 steps that every single website needs. Go through this checklist, grade yourself, be very, very honest. You don't need to do anything else. Think about the content side, but at the attraction level and the conversion level, what you want to do is you want to make sure you hit this. If you are in a good standing, then you're golden. If you're not, make those things better and you're immediately going to make more money. So thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, I'll be right here. We also have an Ask Me Anything at 2:30 today. Thank you very much, everybody.